Gaze reading with the greats drop by. Trendy authors tell us all the who, what, and why. Anyone can list because we're spelled. Gaze reading from politics to book club picks, where the curious minds can get their fix. Though you say you're not a gay, well that's okay. There's something for everyone. Gaze reading.
Hello and welcome to Gaze Reading What's the Tea? I'm your host, Jason Blitman, and I'm here with Daniel Aleman to talk to us about his new book, I Might Be in Trouble. It just came out a couple weeks ago. If you are new to Gaze Reading, welcome. Welcome back to those of you who have joined us before. And follow us on Instagram at Gaze Reading. And you can also head over to YouTube and watch most of our conversations as well. Like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. That's sort of the housekeeping for today, and let's dive right in. Daniel, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Great. You are here to talk about your brand new book, I Might Be in Trouble.
Yes, we are.
Which, insider info, I finished it and then slid into your DMs immediately.
Yes, I remember.
Because I finished it in a day and I just had so much fun reading it, and I'm so excited for everyone else to read it. For our listeners, what is the T? What is the T? What is the E? What is the A? Tell us.
Well, first I should tell you a little bit about the book for those who have not heard about it. So I Might Be in Trouble is about a gay author living in New York City who goes on this amazing date with the man of his dreams. And then the next morning wakes up to find his date dead in his bed. And so this kicks off a chain of events that is a little unexpected. So instead of calling the police, he chooses to call his literary agent, who's his best friend and the person he trusts most in the world. And she has some ideas about how to deal with this situation, meaning she suggests moving the body to a different location instead of calling the authorities, and a lot of things happen after that. And so for the T, like, my first word is tense, because this is a genre mashup. Like, it does blend thriller elements, suspense, even a little bit of romance, a lot of comedy. And just talking to some people who have gotten early copies, I've heard people say, oh my God, I was nervous while reading this. And I don't mean to make my readers nervous, but I do want you to be flipping the pages, waiting to see what's going to happen next. And so there is a lot of tension, a lot of just big questions throughout the story. And there are a couple of twists. So hopefully, you'll be sitting on the edge of your seat waiting to see what happens.
Yeah, tense is definitely, it's a fantastic word, and I think that's why I finished it in a day, because I was just like, I need to know what is going to happen. All right, what is your E?
My E is emotional, which is a bit of a contrast to what I just said. But the main character, David, is someone who hasn't always had an adequate support system, especially given that he's a gay guy. I feel so many of us just struggle to find that sense of community, that sense of belonging, especially in our teenage years. And so now he's 28 years old. He has a very tense relationship with his family, his boyfriend.
Say that word again.
Sorry, say that again.
There's the T word again.
Oh, the T. Yeah, tense.
So there's a tense relationship with his family, with his boyfriend.
Very tense relationship with most of the people in his life, and his career is on the fritz. And as I was crafting this story, it was important to ask myself, what kind of character would go and do all these crazy things? Because it is a leap of faith premise, moving a dead body throughout New York City. So who would be willing to do this? And the answer is someone who has already lost a lot and has not a lot to lose, but a lot to gain if he can get away with this. And this book is an exploration of that, of his identity as a gay guy, of the ways that having community or a lack of community can push us into very difficult circumstances and eventually, hopefully, David does find that stability that he needs to move forward with his life. But there is a very emotional layer to the story that I really wanted to explore.
How meta would you say the book is for you?
Very. And that was so fun for me. This is my adult debut, and this is the first time that I was writing a character my own age. I was 28 when I was writing the first draft of this book. And
his name starts with a D.
I mean, it is in many ways a portrait of where I've been in terms of looking around and feeling like my life is not what I once imagined. And I think that's something that so many of us go through as we explore our 20s, our 30s. We had this idea of what life was going to be like. And then we're here and there's so many disappointments that we have to deal with, so many things that turn out differently. And how do we deal with that? And how do we rebuild our idea of a quote unquote good life? And so that is something that I was going through as I was putting it down on the page. And this book really helped me just be less harsh on myself. It helped me have conversations with my friends who are also experiencing similar struggles. And it helped me realize that I'm not as alone as I thought I was.
What were you expecting?
Out of life? I think I had this image from the sitcoms, like from Friends, where you live in close proximity to all your closest friends. You experience a little heartbreak every now and then, but your career is on the rise steadily. And there's also those societal expectations of once you're approaching 30, you should be stable in your career with an eye toward marriage and a stable relationship, have a solid community. And I found that was just not where I was at that age, like at 28. And I felt, like I said, so alone, feeling like I was the only one who didn't have it together. And in fact, I think it's more of a common experience to not have your life figured out than this unrealistic expectation that we're led to believe is how we should experience our 30s.
Right. Friends is the fantasy. They don't even have train delays.
Yeah, 100%. They're like they have these huge apartments on whatever salaries.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no construction on the subway system. That is not real life.
Nope.
Yeah, I definitely don't think you are alone. In fact, I think that is a very common experience.
Totally.
So what was the name of the dead guy that you woke up next to?
Oh, there was no dead guy that I woke
up.
But I should say there is a real life experience that I had that inspired a lot of what happens in the book with the dead guy.
What?
Yeah. So back in 2019, I met someone on a dating app. It became this sort of situationship, long distance situationship, because he didn't live in the same city as I did. So it was like we would travel back and forth to see each other. And then once the pandemic hit, it came to light that this guy was actually engaged and had been lying to me the whole time. He had been leading me to believe that he wanted to see where he and I could go to maybe build a future where we eventually lived in the same city. And I was just shocked to find out that he was not who he said he was. And so I don't want to spoil the book, but there is a big element of going back and rethinking who this dead guy is. And
oh my God.
Yeah, and that comes from real life.
Oh my God. Okay, what's your A?
My A is absurd. Because to me, first and foremost, this book is a comedy. Like I said, it blends a lot of different genres, but it is at its heart a dark comedy. And the brand of humor is what I personally enjoy, which is a comedy that sometimes does go for the laugh out loud reaction, but that sometimes just goes for the facepalm reaction where you're like, I can't believe this is happening. And that is what I want my readers to experience, like this roller coaster of funny, but also sad, but also thrilling. And I think the book does have a little bit of all of that.
Yeah. And there's something too about, there's a very fine line between not taking yourself seriously, but also being truthful.
Yes.
To feel this honest emotional response to the book. And I think in general, it's just a very hard line to balance. And I think the book does such a nice job of, you can understand how absurd it is and believe it at the same time.
Totally. And in the absurdity, maybe find little bits of truth and little bits of exploration of why these characters are doing the crazy things that they're doing.
And also makes you think, what would you do in a situation like that?
Oh my gosh.
know?
I would probably not call my agent. I can tell you that.
I know. Who would you call? That was something I was thinking of. I was thinking about who I would call. Who would you
I would
call?
honestly probably call my mom, who would probably tell me, just go ahead and call the cops, honey. My boyfriend, who would probably panic more than me. I think I'm the more level-headed one, which is why he's not my first answer.
He would be the first call. That's so funny.
But yeah, I hope never to find myself in that situation. Let's just say.
Yeah, no, I would agree. New York is such a great character in and of itself in the book. And it was fun to be on that journey with them. It feels it's like Yellowface meets Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah, literally. That's a great way to pitch the book. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. There's also people, I think, talk about New York as it's this city that never sleeps. It's so crowded. You could run into a gajillion people all day, every day. And yet it's also a very lonely city. And there's something, too, about the book that is about loneliness and about learning to cope with being alone and just learning about how it's okay to be alone. Was that something on your mind when you were writing
Oh,
this?
100%. I feel that goes back to my expectations of life in my 20s. I thought that it was going to be going out every weekend with my friends and being in a stable relationship. And I found that I was alone a lot of the time, especially when I made the switch from working a 9 to 5 to becoming a full-time writer. I found that even though that was my dream, like my biggest dream come true, there was also the flip side, which was I spent most of my days by myself. And that was a loneliness that perhaps I wasn't prepared for and that I also needed to explore through my writing.
For sure. This is your adult debut. How does that feel? What was that journey like?
It is so exciting. I love my YA books. I have 2 YA, Indivisible and Brighter Than the Sun, that came out 2021 and 2023. And it felt almost liberating to write adult for the simple reason that I could be a little more honest about where I'm at mentally, where I'm at in my personal life. And that was just so much fun to do. This book was cathartic in every way and my favorite book that I've ever written. So I'm so excited to share it with everyone.
That's really fun. And I know this is like the worst question to ask a writer, but because books do take so long to get out into the world, are you working on something else? Are you working on another adult book, another YA book? What's going on?
Yes, I am working on something else. It is another adult. So I think I'm going to stick to adult for now. Eventually, I love YA and I want to go back to it, but adult is on my mind. And so I am working on a book that's similar in tone. It's like a dark comedy with a desperate housewife setting and a little bit of murder and a gay guy navigating the whole thing. So we'll see. I'm very hopeful that I'll be able to share that one in the future. Yeah.
So fun. Are you reading anything now that's fun?
Yes, I'm reading Hello Beautiful by Anna Napolitano.
Anna Napolitano.
Yes, I'm a mood reader and I have a long TBR, but then I'll look at it and just pick based on what I feel like reading in the moment. And I'm in I want the family saga, like the deep characterization, like that has just been very nice to read for the start of fall. So yeah.
Good choice. I loved Hello Beautiful.
I'm enjoying it so much. I'm like 100 pages in, but I'm loving it so far.
Yeah. That's actually how I Might Be in Trouble got to the top of the pile for me. I had just gotten the ARC in the mail a day or two before. I was in between books. I was like, what am I in the mood for? I need something a little light, a little fun, a little absurd. I was like, let me start this one. And I couldn't put it down.
Oh, thank you.
Of course. Okay, because we're having tea
Yeah.
and I'm having my tea party with you, who would you have a tea party with?
Well, if I can pick a character from my own book,
Anyone. It could be anyone.
I would say I want to have tea with Stacy, the literary agent character. She is a Moira Rose type of woman. She is eccentric and funny, but she doesn't realize she's being funny. Like in her mind, she's just being very serious about certain things. And she is the kind of friend that you want when you find yourself in a situation like the main character does. And yeah, I think she would just be so much fun to meet. Or Moira Rose herself as well.
Right, just all
or
of them
Catherine
at one
O'Hara.
tea party. And just sit there and watch them
Just
in conversation.
have their,
chuckle.
Yeah.
That's a good choice. I know, I want to talk to Stacy too. Let's make it happen.
I love her. She's my favorite character in the book.
Oh my God, so fun. Daniel, I'm so excited for you and for everyone to read I Might Be in Trouble.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for joining me for tea time
Thank
today.
you for having me. This has been so fun.
I'm so glad.